My dear brothers and sisters, guidance is the greatest blessing we can ever receive. Everything else in life, our wealth, our health, our families, our status, all of it fades, but guidance from Allah is eternal. If Allah guides your heart, then no matter what hardships you face, you will always have direction, peace, and clarity. If He withholds guidance, then even if you possess everything in the world, you will still feel lost, restless, and uncertain. The heart is where faith lies, and it is also where doubt, arrogance, and hypocrisy can creep in. That's why the most important prayer the Prophet taught was to ask Allah to keep our hearts firm upon His path. Because at the end of the day, it's not just about saying we are Muslim with our tongues, it's about Allah guiding our hearts to truly live Islam. And when Allah guides your heart, you start to see changes in your life, subtle at first, but deeply powerful. Today, I want to share with you 3 clear signs that Allah is guiding your heart, so you can recognize His mercy in your life and hold on to it with gratitude. The first sign that Allah is guiding your heart is that you begin to love what pleases Him and dislike what displeases Him. This is not about being perfect. We all make mistakes, we all fall short. But when Allah guides your heart, you feel uneasy in sin. You can no longer enjoy disobedience the way you once did. The same action that once gave you temporary pleasure now leaves you restless, guilty, and empty. That is Allah's way of pulling your heart back to Him, and at the same time, you begin to find sweetness in worship, things that once felt like burdens, praying, remembering Allah, giving charity, forgiving others start to feel lighter and more fulfilling. It becomes harder to miss them, because your heart is being pulled toward Allah. Think about this, my brothers and sisters, when you find yourself smiling after prayer, when you feel a sense of peace after giving in charity, when you choose to forgive instead of holding on to anger, that's not just your personality, that's Allah guiding your heart. It means He wants good for you, because left to our own desires, we lean toward laziness, toward selfishness, toward arrogance. But when Allah wants to guide you, He changes your inclinations. Your heart starts to love goodness and hate wrongdoing. And that is a gift you should never take for granted. The second sign that Allah is guiding your heart is that you feel comfort in times of hardship. Life will always test us, through loss, through pain, through disappointments. But when Allah guides your heart, He grants you a kind of resilience that others cannot understand. You may still cry, you may still hurt, but deep inside you hold on to the conviction that Allah has a plan. You no longer feel abandoned when you suffer. Instead, you feel carried. Your heart whispers, this too has meaning. This too is from Allah. Think of all the people who collapse under hardship, who lose themselves when life turns against them. And then think of those who seem to carry unimaginable burdens with grace. What's the difference? It's not their strength. It's Allah guiding their hearts. When Allah is with you, even the heaviest weight feels bearable, because you trust that He never burdens a soul beyond what it can handle. That inner peace is a sign of guidance. It doesn't mean you won't feel pain, but it means your pain won't destroy you. You know how to transform suffering into closeness with Allah. And here's something beautiful. Sometimes Allah sends hardships specifically to guide your heart. How many people have returned to faith after a loss, after an illness, after a disappointment? Their suffering became the doorway to Allah's mercy. So if in the middle of your hardship you find yourself remembering Allah more, praying more, reflecting more, know that He is guiding your heart. He is pulling you closer to Him through what you thought would break you. The third sign that Allah is guiding your heart is that you become concerned with your inner state more than your outer image. In a world obsessed with appearances, with reputation, with likes and followers, Allah guides the believer to care about what truly matters, the condition of the heart. You stop obsessing over how people see you and start caring about how Allah sees you. You focus less on impressing people and more on cleansing your intentions. You start asking yourself, am I doing this for Allah or for recognition? Am I sincere or am I showing off? When Allah guides your heart, you realize that outward acts of worship mean little if the heart is corrupt. You stop being satisfied with surface-level religiosity, and you start seeking sincerity. You may even hide some of your good deeds so only Allah knows them, because you crave His acceptance more than people's praise. That shift from the outer to the inner is one of the clearest signs that Allah is guiding you, because hypocrisy begins in the heart, and so does sincerity. And when Allah wants good for you, He directs your heart to seek purity, humility, and honesty with Him. Now, brothers and sisters, think about these three signs together: loving what pleases Allah and disliking what displeases Him, finding comfort in hardship, and caring more about your inner state than your outer image. If you see these in your life, rejoice. Thank Allah, because it means He is guiding your heart, and if you don't see them yet, don't despair. Guidance is not a one-time gift. It is something we ask for and work toward every day. The door of Allah's mercy is always open. The Prophet taught us to never feel safe from misguidance, and to always ask Allah to keep our hearts firm. Why? Because the heart is fragile. It can be pulled this way or that. It can harden or soften. It can incline toward light or darkness. And the only one who can truly protect it is Allah. That's why the believer constantly turns to Him, begging, "Ya Allah, guide my heart. Keep me close to You. Don't let me stray." My brothers and sisters, guidance is not about being perfect. It's about striving, returning after you fall, and never giving up on Allah. If you see even the smallest sign of guidance in your life, gratitude after prayer, patience in difficulty, sincerity in intention, cling to it and nurture it. Those are seeds Allah has planted in your heart. Water them with remembrance, with repentance, with gratitude, and watch them grow into a heart that is alive, humble, and steadfast. Let us leave today with this thought: the world will measure you by your wealth, your looks, your achievements. But Allah measures you by your heart. If He guides your heart, then no failure can destroy you, and no success can corrupt you. That is the real victory in this life and the next. So ask Allah every day to guide your heart, to soften it, to fill it with love for Him, and to keep it firm until the end, because there is no greater blessing than a guided heart. When we speak about the sweetness of guidance, we are really talking about one of the greatest gifts that Allah can give to a human being. Imagine for a moment how life feels before guidance touches the heart. A person may fall into sin again and again, and instead of feeling remorse, they feel a temporary satisfaction. There is a sweetness they taste in that sin, but it is an empty sweetness. It is like drinking salt water when thirsty. It may feel like relief for a moment, but it leaves the soul even more parched than before. And the tragedy is that many people remain trapped in that cycle, believing that their sins are filling them, while in reality their hearts are being drained of light. But when Allah decides to guide a heart, something amazing happens. The very things that once brought comfort begin to bring discomfort. A believer who once laughed after committing a sin may suddenly find themselves crying afterward. A person who once brushed off disobedience may now find it unbearable, even if no one else knows about it. That shift is not random, it is not a coincidence, it is not simply maturity or age. It is Allah placing His light into the heart and turning the soul back toward Him. It is Allah showing love for His servant by making them restless in disobedience and peaceful in obedience. Think about the moment when prayer no longer feels like a burden. There was a time when standing in prayer may have felt long and heavy, but then, by Allah's mercy, the same act feels light, even sweet. A person begins to look forward to it, to long for the calm that comes when the forehead touches the ground, to crave that peace more than anything else. That is a sign of guidance. Because worship is not always easy, it requires effort, but when the heart begins to taste its sweetness, that is a gift directly from Allah. Guidance is not simply about knowing right from wrong, it is about loving what is right and feeling aversion toward what is wrong. Many people know what they should do, but their hearts are not inclined toward it. The difference is when Allah opens the heart so that not only does a person recognize sin, but they can no longer enjoy it. The laughter after sin becomes tears, the pleasure becomes regret, and the mind constantly reminds the soul that this is not who they want to be. That is Allah's way of protecting His servant, not allowing them to feel comfort in what harms them. When a believer feels that shift, it is crucial not to ignore it, because the heart is delicate. The heart changes, it flips, and if one turns away from guidance, the light can be extinguished. But if a person holds onto it, nurtures it, and thanks Allah for it, the guidance only grows stronger. Just like a plant that must be watered to thrive, the heart must be cared for so the sweetness of faith does not fade. Gratitude, remembrance, and repentance are the water that keeps guidance alive. And this is why, when you feel that restlessness after a mistake, you should recognize it as a sign of Allah's care for you. If Allah did not love you, if Allah did not want good for you, He would allow you to remain in your sin with no regret. He would let you be blind to it. But the fact that your heart feels uneasy, that you cannot sleep in peace after disobedience, that you feel guilt when you stray, is evidence that Allah has not abandoned you. It is His way of pulling you closer. It is Him saying, "Come back, I want you to return." The shift is not always dramatic. Sometimes it is subtle. Sometimes you just notice that the things that once excited you no longer do. Sometimes you realize that what once made you laugh now makes you uncomfortable, and sometimes you realize that the peace you once sought in people, in wealth, or in entertainment, you can only find in the remembrance of Allah. Those subtle changes are not random. They are part of the journey of the heart toward Allah. The true sweetness of guidance is when you start to love Allah more than your desires, when the same heart that once chased sin now runs to prayer. When you find yourself feeling more alive in moments of remembrance than in moments of worldly pleasure, that sweetness is more lasting, more real, and more satisfying than anything sin could ever offer. And when Allah grants that, it is a gift to be treasured, not something to take for granted. So when you feel that your heart no longer finds joy in sin, but begins to find peace in worship, hold on to it. Protect it. Thank Allah for it. Because that change is not your achievement, it is His gift. And if He has given you that gift, it means He wants you close. It means He has chosen you. It means He is guiding your heart toward Him. Never ignore it. Never let it fade. And never underestimate what it means. Because that sweetness is not just a feeling in this life. It is a preparation for eternal sweetness in the next. This is why believers should never despair when they stumble, because stumbling and feeling regret is itself a sign of guidance. A heart that is guided does not remain at peace in sin. It struggles, it hurts, it longs to return. That struggle itself is a sign that Allah is working on you, refining you, pulling you back, and the more you respond to that pull, the more your heart will taste the sweetness of being close to Him. That is the beauty of guidance. It transforms what you once loved into what you now hate, and what you once dreaded into what you now love. It is Allah rewriting the desires of your heart so that you align with Him. And when you recognize that shift, know that you are being guided, know that Allah wants good for you, and know that you must hold onto it with gratitude and devotion. Because the sweetness of guidance is a taste of the eternal sweetness that awaits those whose hearts never stop striving for Him. When we think about the strength that comes in hardship, we have to remember that it is not about never feeling pain. It is not about pretending that life is easy or that we are unaffected by trials. Even the strongest hearts tremble, even the most faithful believers shed tears, and even the most righteous people feel the weight of their burdens. Hardship is part of life, and pain is a natural response to it. But there is something remarkable that happens to the heart when Allah decides to guide it through difficulty. The pain does not vanish, but it no longer destroys you. The tears may still fall, but beneath them there is a quiet trust. The weight may feel heavy, but there is an unseen strength helping you carry it. That is a sign of guidance, and it is one of the most powerful gifts Allah gives His servants. Think of the times when life seemed overwhelming, when everything you relied on fell apart, when the people you trusted turned away, when the doors you knocked on remained shut, and when the future looked frightening and uncertain. In those moments, many people lose themselves. Some give up, some turn bitter, some become angry with the world, and some even question their Creator. But then there are others who feel the same pain, who face the same storms, and yet instead of collapsing, their hearts whisper something different. Their hearts remind them that no matter what they lose, Allah is still with them. That inner voice that says, "I can endure this because Allah has a plan," is not self-created. It is a sign that Allah Himself is guiding your heart. Resilience in hardship is not about being unshaken. It is about who you turn to when you are shaken. A guided heart does not deny its suffering, but it anchors itself in Allah. It allows the tears to flow, but it does not let those tears drown hope. It allows the pain to be felt, but it does not let that pain erase faith. That is the miracle of guidance. It transforms suffering into strength and despair into trust. Without guidance, pain can crush a person. With guidance, pain becomes a bridge that leads you closer to Allah. One of the most beautiful signs of Allah's nearness is when you go through something that should have broken you, but instead makes you stronger. When others look at your life, they may wonder how you are still standing, how you can smile, how you can keep going. And the truth is, you do not carry that strength alone. It is Allah carrying you. It is His mercy that keeps your heart from collapsing, His care that keeps your faith alive, and His love that whispers to your soul, "Keep going, I am with you." That inner strength is not ordinary, it is divine. Sometimes we only recognize guidance when life is smooth, when we feel at peace, when things are easy. But often the clearest signs of guidance appear when life is the hardest, because anyone can feel grateful in times of abundance, but it takes guidance to still feel hope in times of scarcity. Anyone can smile when life goes their way, but it takes guidance to still find comfort when nothing seems to work out. That ability to see the light even in the darkest night, that ability to find meaning in the middle of chaos, that ability to still trust in Allah's wisdom even when you do not understand His plan, that is guidance at its purest form. Guidance in hardship does not mean that your problems disappear. It means that your heart is held steady while the storm passes. It means that when you feel like you are drowning, you suddenly realize there is a hand holding you above the waves. It means that even if you lose everything you once thought you could not live without, you discover that you can survive as long as you still have Allah. That realization is a gift, and not everyone has it. It is not earned by intelligence, it is not guaranteed by wealth, and it is not secured by status. It is a gift that Allah gives to those He loves, a gift that proves He has not abandoned you even when the world has. When your heart still turns to Allah in hardship, that is evidence that He is guiding you. Because guidance is not only about knowing what is right or wrong, it is about holding on to Allah when everything else slips away. The pain may remain, but deep down you know that this pain has a purpose. The tears may not stop, but you know they are being counted. The difficulty may not vanish, but you know it is temporary. That perspective, that quiet strength, that ability to endure without breaking is a sign of divine love. It is important to recognize that this kind of resilience is not weakness. Some people think that turning to Allah in hardship is an escape. But in reality, it is the most courageous response, because it takes strength to admit that you cannot handle life on your own. It takes humility to place your trust in Allah's plan, and it takes faith to believe that the same trial that hurts you is also the trial that heals you. That kind of resilience is proof that Allah has guided your heart to the truth, that you are never alone, and that every test carries within it a hidden mercy. So when life tests you, and you feel like breaking, pay attention to what your heart does. If your heart still turns to Allah, if it still whispers His name in the middle of your tears, if it still trusts Him even while it aches, then know that you are guided. That whisper is not small, it is everything. It is proof that you have not been abandoned. It is proof that Allah is carrying you. And it is proof that even in your weakest moment, you are stronger than you realize, because your strength does not come from you. It comes from Him. If you ever wonder whether Allah is guiding you, look at the way you survive your hardships. If you find yourself still praying, still making dua, still holding on to faith, still refusing to let despair consume you, then the answer is already clear. That strength is guidance, that resilience is mercy, and that trust is a sign that Allah is with you, even when the world feels against you.